Well, good evening to everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Darryl Crowder. I'm the carrying on to the Family Services. I actually got here today. It was that I received an email from my BlackBerry, and I was trying to. One of my former staff came in. I knew about all this, the budget cuts that was going on, and we were trying to, of course, look at everything and just see. So it's everything that's going on. So I began, one of my former staff came in and he was like, Mr. Crowder, I want to tell you about this. I said, well, I know about it. He said, listen, I want to tell you about it. He said, Rob, I want you to go to the internet and look at it. I had no idea that it was him when I looked at it on the internet today at 5 o'clock when I drove over to Charlotte. But that's just a coincidence, but it's very interesting. But my main thing with the budget cuts is what programs we provide. We provide community support and residential. We've been doing it for almost 8 years now. I have some testimonies and some stories of, and for any of you who have worked in residential and community support, you have some of the same ones, but before I get to the story, when I walked into the office this morning, we had at least 4 families that were sitting in wanting services. And as I walked in there, as my directors were beginning to speak with them, it was in the back of my head, well, these families have no idea that these budget cuts are getting ready to happen, and they need services. So I continued on with the rest of the day, and I decided, once I came here and he said we need stories. And I thought of a story that was very fresh to me. We had a young man, we had a family that needed services, and we gave that family services. As we went into the neighborhood to provide services for that family, we noticed that the 7-year-old who we're giving services for was almost like this malnutrition. He was just skinny. The kid hadn't been eating for a long time, and we did an investigation. We sent stuff over, brought the family in, spoke with the families, and this is all within community support, that these families wouldn't have gone to the area of mental health because they didn't think they had a mental health problem. As we went in there, we saw them, this family had this problem. This kid was sitting there, and the kid was hungry. We brought him to the office. We had snacks in the office, and he pretty much ate all the snacks. So when I saw this kid, and I saw the baby, the sister of the kid, how hungry they were, I immediately told my staff, don't let this family go anywhere. I went to Sam's and I filled that whole family's house with groceries. And we didn't have to do that. We could put things in place, but I saw a kid, because of community support, that was hungry. And for the state not to understand these type of things that go on, the things that we come in and do, is really a slap in the face. And I began to get upset because these are the people that we sit down and we make a conscious decision every fall, every 2 or 4 years, that we're going to vote for these people. But we're no concern to them until it's time to vote. And I have a major problem with that. I'm listening to the testimonies and the stories of everyone that's in here, of similar stories that's been going on. And for them to take mental health and actually take mental health and treat it like it's a rag doll. I think that's what's happening. So the thing that we're trying to do in Charlotte is that we're trying to get people together to get, if we can actually get people to get buses that we can pay for, get some of our consumers and take them up there so they can see these people who they're trying to neglect. It's sad, and I hope that someone, representatives, can actually hear this and understand how we're feeling. If we need to come together, now is the time for us to come together. This room should be jam-packed. I drove from Charlotte, it was raining. I've been to 1 meeting already today in Charlotte. And if it was another meeting I could go to, I would go to that as well. It's not only about our livelihoods, it's about the people that we serve. They don't have anybody else. This right here is a special field. So I guess we have to go to all the universities and tell the universities, let's get rid of the psychology programs. Let's get rid of the social science, all the social science programs. Why? Because where these people don't work. Actually stated earlier, if so many employees are working with these people. Now, I don't know about you all, but my tax is high every month, every payroll. They go somewhere. They don't go to me, they go to the state. So that filters right back to the state. So if they want to talk money, let's see how much money is actually, as we pay taxes and we do payroll taxes. You've seen payroll tax is very expensive. They don't go to us, they go to the state. Where's that money being earmarked to? We have to ask ourselves all these questions. So, thank you all, I appreciate it. Y'all, thank you.
George Brown again with the president of the Children's Home here. I'm going to speak to you in 3 different roles that I have. So first of all, with the Children's Home. And I hope the legislators understand that a 5 to 6% cut, in general, if everybody's having to have something cut, we can handle that. But don't just do it across the board. There's some services out there that they're marginal now. And if you cut them by 5%, you're not going to have any provider providing that service, and that's going to cut out people. These cuts that are mentioned in the budget here are going to affect 450 kids here, probably rule out services to about 140 kids that we have at the Children's Home. And there are drastic repercussions of what will happen to those children in our society if that happens. Okay, you want to cut out community support, that's been a problem. Somebody has to get kids into the system. Somebody has to manage it. Don't think you can just wipe things out on a balance sheet and you're not going to have to pay for it somewhere else. You're going to have to pay for it in another place if you wipe it out here. You want to wipe out residential care? Those kids are either going to go to more costly residential programs, or they're going to end up in the emergency room and we're going to pay for them there, or they're going to end up in detention centers and we're going to pay for them there, or they're going to end up in jails and we'll continue to pay for them forever and ever. So all of these are repercussions of what we see very clearly here. Let me put on another hat. I just returned from a Forsyth Futures meeting with Betty Taylor and others, school superintendent, the county commissioner, the police chief, corporate heads, all of those folks. We're very concerned about this. We see this, that it will be so devastating that instead of talking about Forsyth Futures, we're going to be talking about Forsyth repairing the past. We essentially are going to be going backwards rather than forward in terms of how we're going to try to deal with some of the issues that are already very clearly on our plate. Lastly, let me talk about it from my role as the chair of the Forsyth County Child Protection Team, Community Child Protection Team. One of my roles at a state level with that was to write the state response to what is happening with child protection and mental health. Unfortunately, in my role, I've seen children fall through the cracks and end up being child fatalities because they fell through the cracks in this. What we're seeing with the radical reform that occurred to mental health, we have not recovered from yet. This reform again will put us again back there, whether it's in how we get reimbursements or how we access services. We're going to again see that effect in the real world in terms of how children are protected, where children go to, how parents that are having mental illness are dealing with that, how parents that are having stress are dealing with that, what we're going to do with parents who are neglecting, all of the problems that they're seeing with kids and saying, why can't I control their kids? And we can't even afford to take that kid in to get outpatient services so that we can help that parent out in their day-to-day life. Major devastation across all of those different fields unless we do a wiser approach and a more strategic approach to doing these budget cuts.